all sectors of the government, and the whole of government approach involving all sectors and led by the principal is very crucial. And that whole government approach should also be able to mobilize whole society and make sure that this response becomes everybody's business. Anyone in Mexico, this is, something that can only succeed if all Mexicans actually be involved. This is not just for Mexico, but the whole world. It's everybody's business, and that's what we're suggesting to the whole world, and it will be the same for Mexico. And we hope to see progress in the whole of government approach, whole of society approach, and making sure that this is everybody's business. That's how we can stop this virus.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ryan. Would you like to add something?
No, Tarek, I think Dr. Tedros said it right on the spot.
Thank you very much. Please jump in anytime you want. I will go now to a question from Norway that we received via text. It's Henrietta Haynes, and I'm sorry if I don't pronounce well. The question is for Maria, and it says, Maria, would Maria be able to comment on the new aerosol study and various surface studies, or possibly provide a general update on what do you know today? That's from Henrietta Haynes from Norway, NTB, and The Journal.
So Henrietta, thank you for that, that question. That highlights the evidence-based nature of our organization and what we are trying to do in terms of making guidance for all countries. And we try to pull together all available evidence on different topics. This one that you've mentioned about the role of virus persistence on surfaces and the potential for the virus to remain in the air. So we are aware of several studies that have been published, that are in the process of being published, and that are currently underway in labs in a number of countries that have looked at different environmental conditions in which the virus could persist, looking at maybe different humidity or different temperature, UV light, and that have looked at different surfaces such as steel, hard surfaces, and looking at the new virus, the new COVID-19 virus, as it compares to other coronaviruses like SARS or like MERS or the common cold coronaviruses that are circulating. And there is a recent study that came out that looked at the role of aerosol generating procedures. How would those viruses, as you know, this is a virus that is transmitted through droplets. And so these are little pieces of liquid that come out of people's noses and mouths if they cough or they sneeze and they talk. And what we know about droplet transmission is that when they come out of an infected person, an individual, is they go a certain distance, but then they settle. And so that's why we have the distance of the 1 to 2 meters apart from individuals. But when you do an aerosol generating procedure, like in a medical care facility, you have the possibility to what we call aerosolize these particles, which means they can stay in the air a little bit longer. And in that situation, in healthcare facilities, it's very important that healthcare workers take additional precautions when they're working on patients and doing those procedures. But for the everyday person, it's the talking and the sneezing and the coughing, which is why we want the respiratory etiquette. So I think I'm speaking too long, but these studies are looking at how long these viruses can persist in the air. And the one study that came out looked at the aerosol generating procedure and said that when you do those, that these particles can stay in the air longer than they would if you were just normally talking to someone. So we use this information to make sure that our guidance is appropriate. And so far, from the available studies that we have seen, we are confident that the guidance that we have is appropriate, which is so people who are in the communities, they don't wear a medical mask unless they themselves are sick, because this prevents them from infecting someone else. But in healthcare facilities, we make sure that healthcare workers use standard droplet precautions, with the exception if they have they're doing an aerosol generating procedure, and then we recommend airborne precautions.
Thank you very much. I think this is very important to provide to our journalists information on what we know. Let's go to the next question. Adrian from Romania. Adrian, can you hear us?
Yes, hello. From Protein, Romania. Authorities in China and South Korea have decided to isolate the areas affected by coronavirus and have managed to reduce the number of infections. But the European Union supports keeping the borders open. What is the best solution recommended by the World Health Organization?
So we recommend that all cases and all contacts are followed. So if with the aggressive case finding and testing of cases, we will know where the virus is. It is important for countries to know where the virus is circulating within their countries and who is infected and who is not infected. By finding all cases and isolating them, providing adequate care for them, by following all of their contacts and making and testing those contacts to ensure that we find any possibility of onward human-to-human transmission. By doing so, you can effectively stop transmission between people. In addition to that, rapid testing, immediate isolation of individuals so that you're taking them away from other individuals that they can infect. This is the most effective way that we can limit human-to-human transmission. In addition, as what the DG said, is high levels of political support, making sure that there's an all-of-government approach. It's not just the health sector. It's involving all different sectors of the government to repurpose themselves to fight this virus. It's ensuring that every single person in the country, in China, in Korea, in every single country knows what their role is. How can I protect myself? How can I protect my family? What role do I have to play in actually preventing onward transmission? And some of this does involve self-isolation. Some of this does involve making some sacrifices that you don't participate in social engagement. And we've said this before. This is going to be difficult for a while, but this will be temporary. And it's important that we all play a role in this.
Yeah, no, thank you. I have spoken to many ministers from Europe especially, and of course other regions. And one of the areas we have discussed is about testing. And our recommendation from WHO was very, very clear.